This conference will now be recorded.
All right. I want to thank everybody first for being patient with us. Today, the statement of compliance. This is the meeting of the Vernon Township MUA for a workshop for April 30th, 2020. Statement of compliance pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this regular meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 20th, 2020. By delivering to the press the notice and posting the same at the municipal building and file with the office of the township clerk. Just want to do a pledge of allegiance. Everyone, pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America,
And to the
To the
republic,
republic
to
which
which it stands,
one nation
one
under God,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody. So just so you know, we're recording this, and Andy Pitzker is also taking minute notes. And I'd like to, the first thing I'd like to do is we want to, I guess one of the things I want to do is thank Matt Biagini. Today was actually his official last day. He was very helpful trying to getting us up to speed in the short time period that me and Andy were actually new to this. So I want to thank Matt, and I want to eventually want to recognize him in some official capacity. So I want to open the meeting to the public. Do I have a motion?
Can we do a
Motion.
roll call first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize for that. Thank you, Andy. Roll call, Andy Pitzker,
Present.
Dave McDermott. Hopefully he's on. Angela Erickson. Present. Paul Carney.
present.
And Chris Epstein, just about an hour before she came down with the sickness, and she won't be able to be joining us tonight. Hopefully Dave will join us and somehow provide some feedback. You want to make a motion to open to the public?
I'll make the
Do we
motion.
need to do a roll call of professionals first?
Yeah, we have a roll call for professionals. We have the lawyer is not present. Sarin from Hashmont McDonald or Mont McDonald's not present. The auditor is not present. Is Danelle present?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Thanks, Danelle.
All right, great. Yep,
So-
I'm here.
So Danelle's on with us. I appreciate that. If we want to make a motion to the public, open to the public. Paul Carney made a motion. And second by
AP.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. If anybody wants from the public wants to speak, just state your name, and then and you can. Unfortunately, we're just gonna have to go in order. Whoever wants to speak first, just speak up.
Well, I'd like to speak, but how do you recognize me?
It says your name, Jesse, on
Okay.
the screen. Yeah.
No, I know, but okay. This is a little bit
Yeah.
different the way the town council does it, but okay. The town council
Yeah.
has a little thing where it says raising your hand. So you click that and, you can see that I'm raising my hand to speak.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's pretty sophisticated. We don't have that. So you can go ahead, Jesse. You can speak.
Just have a couple of things to ask you because I'm a little bit puzzled here. Who's Chris Epstein?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris Wheaton. Sorry, I used it? That's somebody else I know. Chris Wheaton is the other VTMUA member.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know who Chris Epstein was. So you mean
I apologize, but that's somebody else I know.
no problem. Who's Colette Burrell?
Colette Burrell.
Yeah.
This is someone we might be speaking about tonight. That
Oh.
we have. Yeah,
Okay.
we've interviewed a few people for the administrative assistant job.
Okay, all right, so Colette Burrell is also on this conference.
Oh,
Yes?
maybe.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, so you said Cheryl Shortway is representing Harry Shortway?
No, Cheryl Shortway, as I said, Harry Shortway's on Cheryl's line. It's just her computer Harry's using, I guess. That's all.
Can we get
So
a hello?
Harry's on.
Can we get a hello from Harry to know for sure that it's Harry?
I'm here.
Thank you, Harry.
You're welcome.
All right, so Dave McDermott is not officially part of this meeting because we didn't hear his voice. So if he can't respond to the roll call, he's not officially part of the meeting.
We're trying to get him
That's
on.
correct.
Okay, well,
We're
maybe,
trying to get him on.
okay, maybe later when you get him, he could acknowledge that, well, he kind of has to acknowledge that he's here from the beginning in order to be considered here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree,
Working on
Jesse.
it.
Okay, all right, just want to make that point. I didn't hear who seconded, you know.
I did, Andy Pitsker.
When you called for a second to open the meeting to the public, no, nobody came forward with that. We didn't hear it.
Andy Pixter did.
Okay, but we got to hear it. What I'm saying is in order for it to be official, we have to hear it.
Yeah, Paul Carney made the original motion. Andy Pitsker seconded the motion.
Okay, but we got to be able to hear everything. Just two quick things. Was this meeting advertised?
Yes, it was.
Okay, good. And my
New
last,
Jersey Herald. New Jersey Herald, and it was the meeting agenda was posted.
all right. I just have one real question, and my question is, where are the MUA minutes from October 2019 on? There's no minutes on the website.
Yeah, Jesse, we're looking into those minutes.
Okay.
We're checking with the attorney. We lost
Second, go ahead, all right.
Jesse. Apparently, we lost our recording secretary at around that time.
Okay.
So we're checking with the attorney and we'll follow up.
Okay. All right. Well, don't the members have them? I mean, the members should have them, no?
I was not on, and at that time period, we came on in February. I mean, Paul or Angela might be able to speak to that.
Okay. I just, because by law, they have to be posted on the website.
I understand.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, seeing no one else from the public, do you want to make a motion to close to the public?
I'll make the motion. Paul
Paul
Carney.
Carney, seconded by Angela.
Angela.
Yes, thank you, Angela. All in favor?
May admit. Aye.
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 Mike, can
All
I
right,
put
thank
you on
you.
pause for a minute? I'm going to merge Dave McDermott in.
Okay, go ahead, Andy.
All right, give me 2 minutes and I'll be right back.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. This is not easy to do.
Nope, it sure isn't. I got to try it next week.
Not.
I think carrier pigeon might work better.
Thanks, Paul.
Not a problem.
That is excellent suggestion.
Okay, I should have Dave McDermott merged in with this call. Dave, are you there?
Yes, I am.
right.
Mike, sure. Can you hear us? Okay, great.
Yes.
I can hear Dave. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for
Okay.
joining us.
No sweat. I for some reason or another, the number wasn't dialing in for me. It wouldn't hook me up.
Yeah, I had some problems too, Dave. It's not you.
Oh, okay.
So we have an agenda. I have also a PowerPoint presentation, which mirrors the agenda. If I misspeak or I'm out of place, please just stop me and we'll go over whatever you need to. This is our second remote meeting. The first thing we want to talk is our subcommittee charter. We drafted a charter for all our subcommittees. That was the meeting in February. Andy, we all had a copy of that. What we want to do is we want to post this on the website, and I want us to know if anybody has any objection to that.
No, I don't.
I don't.
No, all right.
So, Andy we want to make it official. So what we'll do is we'll follow up with the IT specialist, and we'll try to post that permanently on our website, and that'll give everyone, the public, everyone, an idea of how we're moving forward with all the subcommittees, and there are several of them. And so we also want to put out a newsletter. I don't know if there's, Andy, is there an update on the newsletter? I know we worked on it. Do we have any?
Basically, go ahead.
Go ahead, Andy.
All right. Basically, the newsletter is the charter now, and as of right now, I have probably a few more points to add, and then I like everyone's review, and I'll try to send it out by Monday.
That works for me.
Charter. All right. What I need is everybody to just give me their final feedback, and then I can post the charter. And this newsletter has to be revamped because there was some changes to it in the last 45 days that I've been on. So we'll probably do the charter for sure. I don't know whether there will be anything else on the newsletter we can add, but we'll talk about that after I do a redraft of it for you to look at. Okay?
Works.
Sounds
That
good.
works for us. All right, everyone's all right with that?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's important to get it's important though that I get feedback from everybody.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right.
Try to get some feedback to Andy, and we'll finalize that and post it. All right, next agenda item is it's a discussion on we talked about it at the last meeting. We wanted to seek out possible employment for an administrative assistant and an administrator, just to give you the status of and I'll defer to Dave and Andy on the administrative assistant. The administrator position has posted on the township website and the MUA website, and it's also been advertised at the League of Municipalities and Indeed.com. So that just posted a couple days ago. Last week or a week and a half ago, we posted and received a lot of resumes and people on the administrative assistant. And I'm just going to turn it over to, we'll do, I want Andy's input first, and then we're going to ask Dave, because Dave and Andy they did all the work on sorting through the resumes and then interviewing possible candidates. So I'll turn it over to Andy.
All right, very good. Well, out of the Indeed and the websites, we had over 150 resumes come in, and I narrowed it down. And then Dave and I went through and we did a couple of sort throughs with this, and then we narrowed it down to basically 3, and interviewed one online, which I think between Dave and myself, we were very confident with, and this is Colette Burrell. She has quite a bit of background in the wastewater and as well as paralegal experience. So Dave and I were confident with her abilities, and we interviewed her for approximately 1 hour. And now in the process of my recommendation is that barring any issues with background checks, that we offer the position at $22 an hour for basically 20 hours worth of work for part-time work, and at no more than a maximum of 30 if we have to go to that. My recommendation is to hire her. Mike, you've also spoke to her, and Dave and I have. And Dave, your opinion? I can pass it from there.
Yeah, well, I spoke to her with you at length, and I also spoke to her previously when she told me what her background was. And for every line item that we had that we wanted somebody, whoever we hired to do, she had experience in it. So you could just fill in the blanks. Here this, here that, here this, here that, and she was on top of everything. And she's local. She wants a job. She knew Matt being Jeannie, and she was disappointed that he left, but she knows it, and she knows that she's going to be on her own for a while before until we hire somebody else. And so I don't think we can go wrong. It's a natural fit for the position.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
And just to add, go ahead.
and then I had to add, this is I spoke to her for, a short period of time, but I did talk to her for a while. I know she has a background with working with Suez, which was impressive. I did check with a few people that I know from Suez, and Matt Biagini spoke very highly of her. So I also believe that, with Matt leaving, and we do need some help. So my recommendation is to offer the position and try to get her started as soon as possible.
I agree.
We have. Somebody else said something. I don't want to let them talk.
No, I said I
Anybody
agree to
else?
get her.
Angela, go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, I said I agree to get her started since we don't have anybody there at this point anyway.
Paul?
I mean, I'm going on what you guys are telling me in interviews. Was her resume forwarded to the rest of the board, or no? I don't recall.
Paul, when I get off the phone or after the meeting, I'll forward that to everybody. I apologize for not getting it out, but we did receive quite a bit of resumes.
I would just like to take a quick look at it. I mean, barring something on there, I'll go with the trust the judgment of the three of you who did the interview process, and like I said, barring anything on the resume that throws me off, I don't have a problem with it. So.
Good. I think we should forward the resume to Paul, Angela, and Christian, and then I believe the next part of this process is to have a resolution to vote on at the next meeting.
Well,
is that the right process?
On the phone is because I do need some. I know I sent a message to her, but if we had to fill out a few forms, pass a resolution, is that necessary, Danelle, to pass a resolution?
You can pass one if you feel more comfortable doing that. I don't think that it's necessary.
We just vote on it and just have a vote?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I'll just poll everybody on the vote. Is Andy Pitzker?
Yes.
Dave McDermott?
Yes.
Angela Erickson?
Yes.
Paul Carney?
Yes, like I said, barring anything that shows up on the resume that just doesn't sit right, which I doubt would happen. And I would also, on your guys' end, even if it takes a quick phone call to the attorney, just to make sure that it's legit, that we can do it this way without a resolution. I would hate to, that's just a quick phone call or email. I would hate to go through the process and then find out that we did it wrong. I mean, I trust Danelle, but we do have an attorney that we, retain, so to speak. So unless everybody else unless everybody's 100% sure that we don't have to, then I say.
I'm okay with that, Paul. I'll send an email to the attorney and see what kind of feedback he gives me, and I'll copy everybody on that tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
and then we'll take the next step.
Very good.
Just to let you guys know, if you're taking a roll call right now, that can act like if you're saying, you know, this is the action that you're taking and you're taking a roll call on it, that can act as the resolution. And then you can draw up the resolution afterwards.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Danelle. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay.
One more technical question. Yeah, one more technical question I have for Zanelle.
Go ahead.
Okay.
The application form for the town, I was going to utilize that for Colette to fill it out to make sure that we have on the record for the town as well, the information which would include reference checks and everything. Should that be followed?
I mean, you're just going to be using it as like a template. It's not really for the township because she's not employed by the township. So
Right, but
you're
as
kind
a
of
template.
verifying as like a template. Yeah, I mean, that's fine if you just want all that information in there. Just so you have it all in one place on file, that's not a problem. And then all of the other paperwork, obviously, I spoke about this with the chairman, you know, W-4s, I-9s, all that other jazz. I can probably email over to her. And then she would just need to, you know, get copies of her identification.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danelle.
No worries.
So that's that is the update on also the administrator. We're going to start taking more resumes, and then we'll get back to everybody and try to get everybody in the process. It's very difficult to do this remotely. So the status of the administrative agreement, we do have an administrative agreement. What I like everyone to do, and most feedback I got from everybody, we do have one that's established. We eventually want to take a closer look at that, and I'd like to look at the agreement and how we can what we're going to do with that administrative agreement, and then at the next meeting we take some kind of official action. That's what I'd like to do, unless anybody has anything to add to that. No?
This is Andrew Pitzker again. I do have, one of the things we talked about is that the administrative interlocal agreement and the financial interlocal agreement and the DPW are all need to be resolved. But my proposal based on this COVID-19 situation and the way government is working is that if we can work with the town right now to extend this agreement till the end of the year and make sure we have negotiations done by November of 2020, I think would work for everyone involved. So it suggests we look at that as a potential possibility and then get agreement with the business administrator, the mayor, and the town council. Does that sound appropriate?
Yeah, I think that's the focus I like everybody to take. You know, if we talk about any of these three agreements, to look at all three and have another discussion at the next meeting. We do have to resolve them. They are in effect, but we do need to come to some kind of agreement. So that leads to the financial interlocal agreement, the update and discussion. The status is in place. That's something we can also talk about at the next meeting. But for this particular agreement, I think we should keep it intact till the end of the year. It's working well. It's very helpful. It's helpful for me until we get till we settle on some other items and get our house in order. So I don't think there's anything to update really, anything, unless anybody has any comments on the financial interlocal agreement.
Not at this time.
Thanks.
No, I don't.
Okay, so
Mike,
next,
can you hear me,
sorry?
Mike? Hey, it's Donna.
Yes.
The only thing that you and I have spoken about the purchasing aspect for finance.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
So what you're suggesting is having the township take over the purchasing temporarily until we have more permanent people in place. that correct, Anil?
Yeah, I mean, that's up to you about the length of time that you would want it. I just, in my experience being here, and not that I've been here that long, I just think that it's better handled in finance.
No, I agree, and I think that's what we're going to do. So just everybody knows, there was a question about purchasing, and I think we're all more comfortable if we keep it under the financial interlocal agreement.
Okay. Yeah.
So DPW work schedule and agreement. There's been a considerable amount of discussion about this, about confined space. Just to before I get into the work schedule and the agreement, the confined space, I did have hire a safety expert. He came in on Tuesday. He did a pretty thorough review. I got to thank Jack Grosser for and Matt Biagini. He went around with them, and we're particularly focused on safety, not only confined space, but overall safety of everybody that works on this at the site. So he did a pretty complete review of the safety aspect, and what he's going to do is draft a report that he'll send to me. I'll distribute to the entire MUA, and then we can review it and then comment on it. So he said that they were very helpful. Jack was helpful. I had him look at confined space, safety issues, and those are all important. And everyone agrees that we want to make sure that everyone has that, all the confined space training, the right training. So that's something we're going to have to address in May. This is very difficult to do under these conditions to get people trained. But we're going to try to make sure that those certifications don't lapse. So we sent the document. Go ahead.
The recertification, yeah, the recertification training. Being as these guys have already been trained, or to whatever level it may be, recertification, is that something that can be done via a PowerPoint presentation that we don't have that, so that we could get it done before their training time lapses?
That's interesting, Paul, because the DEP, recently they don't want to do remote training, but something as important as this, that's a pretty interesting concept. I'll run that by and put this in the minutes. I'll run that by Chuck, and that's an excellent suggestion, unless you remember. And you could probably suggest that to Chuck, the business administrator, and then he could follow up with the insurance company. And I believe the insurance company will provide the training at no charge. I don't know if they do remote training, but we do. Go ahead.
I know at my the facility where I work, we do have most of our trainings done inside, except in-house, except for the confined space rescue. That's done with at a fire academy, but we're not involved with that here. The confined space refresher training that's done every year in-house, it's done via a PowerPoint presentation because it's just refresher. So I think that technically it can be done that way. So I don't see it being an issue.
Well, let suggest it to Chuck. Follow up with Chuck, suggest it to him, and he'll follow up with the insurance company and see what they say. And if they can provide that remotely, then that's a good option.
Okay.
So Mike, Andy Pitzker again. Question.
Chad,
do we know that the confined space training certificate says 2018, but we don't know clearly whether that was a 2-year or a 3-year term on that confined space training, and there's been some questions on that. So have we gotten a document that says one or the other?
Yeah, I believe it lapses in May of 2020. So it's 2 years from the initial training which was May of 2018, and then it lapses in May of 2020. So sometime by the end of and those are on the certificates. I got copies of the certificates. That's my understanding that it lapses at the end of May.
Perfect. Thank you.
So what I also want on the DPW agreement, we obviously sent a letter, a temporary work schedule that we would like the DPW to comply with in order to, and the ultimate goal is to reduce expenses, hopefully keep up with the operation and maintenance of the system, not jeopardize at all ever worker safety, and so we sent that to the township, and we're continuing to work on how we're going to work out the details of that temporary agreement, which we obviously need because they are doing an excellent job with operating the system. So we want to continue with that, but what I want people to think about is whether is it a better option? I know in the past you looked at private operations companies. Those tended to be a little bit expensive, and it costs more than the actual agreement with the township with the DPW. But there is a potential option of hiring individuals to cover the operation, and that's something I want everyone to consider and think about, and then we could discuss at the next meeting. So I don't know whether anybody has any feelings on that. They want to talk about it now, we could talk about it now, or we could just discuss it at the next meeting.
Well, I think, I mean, just real quick on that, I think that decision there's, I mean, for me, there's really only a couple of facets to it that are going to matter. One is cost. The other is qualifications, and third is availability. So I think those are the three facets of a decision on that we have to be concerned with. Other than that, I think anything else is just, you're going to go be searching for answers for everything. It's really all you want is qualified, availability, and it's got to be the right dollar amount.
Right, it's right. It has to make sense from a cost, economical sense, whether it's qualified and it fits the qualifications and the expectations, and I agree with you. And that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to find. Licensed operators are very difficult to find. They are all working, and but that's something I want everyone to consider. So, anybody else on that before we move on?
No, definitely. Like Paul summed it up.
Yes.
I mean, quality, availability.
And that's something, if we we want to get that in the minutes and document that, because Paul makes an excellent point. All those three factors are key. So we just got to give it some thought, and then as we move forward, we'll try to explore any option that really helps the MUA and reduce cost and makes it manageable.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
So a discussion on this just came up, and Kristen's not on the phone, but I can report back on this transfer station update. The township. Dave, you want to talk about it?
Well, just basically what Kristen, and I were on that committee, and Corey sent the report in, and it wasn't very good. Pump Station 3 is not the place for it. And so we're going to have to probably rebuild and put our eggs into Pump Station 2. The Route 94 and DOT regulations are just going to be too much to get around. And ingress and egress are key. And it just doesn't. And the way he worded it, it just wasn't going to happen, or it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be feasible. Is the best way to put it.
Right, and there's a cost to actually redesigning that station to do that. the whole idea was to possibly bring in more flow into the system, increase revenue, increase flow.
Sure.
It's been an idea that's been discussed by many people. We're still going to explore it. That's the understanding I got back. I forwarded that email from Corey to everybody tonight. I just received it last night. So look it over. It basically says what Dave says. And we're just like Dave says, we're going to have to explore a different option. And the only other option is to design it into pump station number 2, if and when we go out and redesign that pump station and redo it. So it was a little disappointing, but
yeah, I was hoping. I was hoping it would go our way, but I mean, even though I knew it's from taking a look. I went out there to look around. We were never going to be able to get a tractor trailer in there and out of there safely. But I figured as far as the straight jobs go, the regular tankers, even the 3-wheel tankers, that we could have done it, but it wasn't going to happen.
All right. So we're gonna revisit it. It's not over. We're just gonna revisit it when we start discussing the design of the pump station too.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? Transfer station?
No.
So is that just because there of the trailers that have to come in there and I guess dump it into that transfer station? Is that what it is?
No, it was not necessarily. Once they got into the station, they can easily dump it into the station. It was
Yeah.
the getting into the that station and then out safely, and DOT rules would not allow for. You're looking. Sometimes you're looking at a 5,000, 10,000 gallon tanker truck, and to get that in and out of a space like that is almost impossible. So I'm not really terribly surprised. But, to overcome that would be impossible. And I think putting money into that would not be a wise choice. I think money would be better spent to design it into pump station 2. So it's not,
in my fantasy, I was trying to think maybe what we could have done, but it's a moot point now, was get pump station 3 up and running as a transfer station while we rebuilt number 2, right, and then put number 2 up and build it up like that. When it came to rebuild, we would put the transfer station in there. But like I said, that's a moot point.
Right. So it really does change the dynamic for pump station 2. So, which I believe that's not the next agenda item. The next one is two aspects: the sewer service area and the asset management plan, which are 2 different items. I asked Mott McDonald to provide a written report on all the things that they recommend and the things that they're working on for the sewer system. Surin is working on that. The sewer service area map, that has been submitted to the DEP. One of the things that we have to do and we have to work towards is somehow connecting with DEP and getting that sewer service area map, which they have now finally approved. That is really the key to anything that moves forward. We have to get some kind of official response from the NJDEP.
Yeah,
so
and I believe.
Go ahead, Paul.
I believe currently most DEP people are working from home. So to get people to get in the room to discuss this, we might be waiting a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I know there was a meeting previously. My understanding, they met with the DEP. It was very, I think they got a lot accomplished. They did want to help the township. They want to help us focus on getting this sewer service approved. So I think that's, and I agree with Paul. It's going to be difficult to get to nail down the DEP, but we're going to continue to do that. And does everybody agree that Mott McDonald should follow up on that? with the DEP?
Someone has
Yeah.
to. I mean, since they've been involved in it, I mean, they know the plan better than anybody at this point. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so make that an action item, Andy, on the minutes, that we'll contact Mont McDonald, follow up with them, and then try to make contact with the DEP on what the status of the sewer service area is. Any other questions about that sewer service area?
Oh,
So the asset management
No.
plan, that draft has been done. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to review it. It's quite a document, a very long document. It's not finalized. It's still going through it's still being finalized, especially with the evaluation of the force mains. That's the only open item that's left on the asset management plan. And those are the two force mains, as I understand it, are the force main from pump station 3 and then pump station 2. So those two have to be evaluated. And Sarin from Mont McDonald is going to report back on that. Did anybody? I know it's quite a document, but did anybody have a chance to review it? I have. Anybody else?
Yeah, I've been
That's-
going through it page by page. There's a lot there. A little concerning too.
All right. Anybody else?
I have not as of
No,
yet.
not yet. No.
If you need a printed copy, there are copies in the office.
See, that would
Right.
help immensely. That would help immensely.
Right. So
Staring at-
I agree.
Yeah. The first, an action item, Andy, is get three, three or four printed copies of that, so at least the members of the MUA could review it right in front of them. I have an electronic copy, but it is quite detailed, and you really should review it because, like, overall, it's a roadmap to what really needs to be done, and there are, they are very straightforward and they tell us what's working well and what's not working well, and those are the things that we have to address. So let's make that an action item, and we'll get copies of that and get it to everybody. So
Yeah, that would help out a lot.
Yeah, and then so we'll review it. What I'm asking everybody is to read it. I know it's a lot of information. If you have any questions, feel free to direct them back. Any comments, direct them through me, and then I'll reach out to Mont McDonald so it comes from one person.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So-
Otherwise,
Yeah.
hodgepodge.
right,
Question,
exactly.
Mike.
So go ahead, Andy.
This AMP plan, asset management plan, is it also been given to the mayor and the town council?
Yes, it has. The link was shared with the entire council and mayor. I know some people have read it, and we also encourage the council and the mayor to review that in its entirety because it's critical to how we're going to move forward. So that was made available. That was made available. If we want to make some more copies than that and make them available, hard copies, we can do that. I agree with you. So just so you know, this is how it works. And you have to complete it, finalize it, and approve it in order to possibly move to the next phase, which is funding for any kind of sewer system upgrades. So we really have to focus on getting it finalized. And according to Sarin and Mont McDonald, the evaluation of the force mains is the remaining item that needs to be covered under that agreement, which by the way, just so you know, that agreement is under a grant program paid by the DEP and at no cost to the MUA users. So we're in the process of, we have to evaluate that, and I've asked Sarin to do that. And there was a technical memo, a 3-page memo about the force main. She needs to do some additional evaluation in order to get a final answer on how to rehabilitate it. Because
they were going to do a camera. They were going to do a camera inspection of the force mains, right?
Right, they were doing, but they had a hard time because they had air relief valves that were not functioning properly. So they have to come up with a different way of doing the evaluation. And I think that's
right. Okay.
That's described in that technical memo of what needs to be done. Right. So she has to go through the process with the DEP in order to get that approved to proceed. To go out. I
think we discussed this before.
Yeah. So it has to be evaluated. It has to go out to a bid process for contractors to bid, and then proceed with the process of getting the job completed. So she's going to give us feedback on that, and I've asked her to do that because we can't make decisions unless we get that feedback from Mark McDonald.
Yeah, right. Sure. And
I
guess
guess
without a completed report, we won't get without a completed report, we won't get any grant money, right?
Well, no, we continue on the grant to complete the asset management plan, but if you want to connect that to a project and get funding for a project, then you have to have a complete asset management plan.
Okay, got it.
That's why we're kind of stuck with Pump Station 2 right now, because we can't move forward with anything.
Yeah, that transitions well to the next slide, the Pump Station 2 update, funding sources. One of the, really, if it had to be a priority, right, Pump Station 2 has to be upgraded. That has to be the highest priority. You cannot upgrade the sewer system without upgrading Pump Station 2. It does have issues, operational issues. It's at its maximum flow. We have an idea, just so you know, the only plan that's available to us is a plan that was done by Dewberry Engineers. That was, I don't know how long ago it was done, but that was through Mountain Creek. Mountain Creek did that evaluation. I spoke to Joe Hessian and his assistant, I don't remember his name, had a conversation and asked him if you can connect with the engineer and get us a copy of those engineers' designs, drawings, and any kind of documentation. I think it would be helpful as a good start. So he agreed to that, and he's gonna try to get that to us as soon as possible.
Good.
Go ahead.
It's good to have somebody over at Mountain Creek that is willing to cooperate.
Oh yeah, I have to tell you, it was a very productive, phone conference meeting. They understand what they want to do. They want to partner with us. We're going to work together. We're going to.
And since he came on board and they came up with this agreement, I mean, you never know what the future is going to bring. And hopefully this is over. This virus situation is over, so he can get the water park up and running for the summer at some point, hopefully. But they've been making their payments.
Yes,
that's big.
Right, I agree with you, Paul.
Sure.
They've been making the payments. They've been very good on that. I think they're a very willing partner. I think I was very encouraged by the conversation. We're going to work together. So, that's the first start. We'll get that, that documentation, and then most likely, what I like to move forward. We talk about a funding source. The funding source we've already agreed upon is the Environmental Infrastructure Trust Fund through the NJDEP. In order to start that process, what I'm strongly encouraging is the township or the MUA, whoever it is, to start down the path of putting out a request for qualifications for engineers. It doesn't necessarily pin them down to cost or amount of money, but it provides us qualifications on firms that specialize in expansion sewer systems, design, rehabilitation of force mains, and to build and design pump stations. So we're in the process of doing that. That's all we can do. We can try to move forward and work directly with the township to go to the next step. And that's an application process, and we're going to start making some headway on that. I've been working with Danelle and Mont McDonald, and we're going to work together to continue that application process. Danelle, help me out here. Can we, on the application process for EIT, can we start the application process, or do we have to wait for the asset management plan to be done?
As far as I know, we have to wait. Right now, it's kind of in limbo. So I think Seren would probably be best able to answer whether she can fill it out. I can go in and fill out project details, but I don't have that information. I'm not sure how much further we can go other than just filling out details. I don't think that they would get to any sort of approval level until they have the asset management plan.
So the action item is obviously finishing the asset management plan. The other action item, Andy, is to follow with Mont McDonald to start working on the application process and at least getting it started. So I think that's worth getting in the queue, as they say, because I don't know that, but my understanding of the EIT is you got to get in it. And so you get into the rotation, and so you can get into the funding cycle. And that's imperative. You get into the funding cycle. So I've worked with other municipalities on this. It is a lot of paperwork, but they do offer significant incentives to go down that path. So any questions about pump station 2? Go ahead.
Well, I got a question. Yeah, just we're talking about the EIT funding. Is that is that a grant or is that a low interest loan?
My understanding, it's not a grant. It's a loan with a lot of debt forgiveness. Now, Danelle can probably give a more detailed answer, but I'll defer to the expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would hardly call me an expert. Yeah. So it depends on the project type, and really they've changed their their interest rate, their interest forgiveness, and their debt forgiveness. I feel like it changes. I'm not saying all the time, but it changes every decade or so. So part of it is interest free. It'll be 0% interest, or I think the last time I spoke with the auditor, I think they were looking at 75% interest free, and then the other is a very, very low interest amount. Again, with Pump Station 2, the agreement with that though is that Mountain Creek pays for it. So,
right.
However, we're going through iBank, and that's obviously a benefit for the township, and it's a benefit obviously for the MUA, but it is a benefit for Mountain Creek too, because they are getting, a lower interest funding, which is really important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to follow up on that and then get back to everybody. So any other comments or questions about that?
No.
Thank you. Okay. The feasibility committee update, MUA, utility. I'll go to the next question here, but first, that's a question. I'm posing a question, but before, I'm going to defer to I'll defer to Paul on the feasibility committee update if you have an update.
Not really. I haven't really got a chance to poke into that lately. With all the, I've been kind of consumed with the confined space aspects and the safety. Now that we kind of got that underway, I could turn a little more attention to that.
So I know the committee hasn't met in a few weeks, right? So
yeah, well, we haven't met in it's probably a month now. But I tried to say last time we got together that I would try to get something going, but it's been difficult on my end to try to get something going. But I'll send something out either tomorrow or after the weekend or over the weekend and touch base with people and see what happens.
Dave, any comments?
No, we were, as far as feasibility goes, we were basically waiting on that report from Corey, and
Right.
and you know, so that kind of rained on my parade. So other than that, you know, we just we'll just have to get together and we'll start over from scratch.
Right. I did see an email from the chair asking for comments from the committee, and I think they're due next week sometime. I'm not sure the date. So I'm not sure if you had a chance to review that email, but you know, you two as our representatives, if you feel free to put your comments in and get those in by next week. So
Yeah, sure.
Who's the chair for that
chair
committee?
is Harry Norway.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I did receive that email, and I'm in the middle of my response. I got a draft working right now, so.
Okay, no problem, Paul. That was Harry Shortway, Andy. He's the
Okay.
chair.
Thank you.
That's the wastewater management committee you're talking about.
Right. I call it the feasibility committee. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So,
basically, what happened was we formed that committee to see if it was feasible to keep the MUA, and I think everybody realizes that we do need an MUA.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where the committee. There goes my English. That's where the committee was leaning towards, more so than not having it. After discussion, it seemed that as of right now and for the future, the near future, minimally, that maintaining an MUA is probably the direction that we're going to recommend.
good. That's good feedback. So we'll document that in the minutes. The other question I had, and I'm posing this question to the entire MUA, should we have a liaison from the town council, someone from the town council that can work directly with the MUA and continue that working relationship? Obviously not a voting member, but just a liaison that could be a part of the discussions and then maybe bring ideas. I want to know what everybody thinks of that.
I think that's a good idea. Way there's no miscommunication when there's two entities doing almost the same thing at times. You know, it would be nice to know that you know what the other group is doing. So I think it's a good idea.
All right, thanks, Angela. Anybody else?
No, I agree. It can only help. I mean, in the long run, I prefer that, in any of these discussions, that people who need to know what's going on. So I don't object to it if that's what we're looking at. And in the long run, it might be helpful.
All right,
That makes sense.
Dave?
Yeah. Oh, it definitely it's easier than having joint meetings all the time. I mean, but
Right.
eventually, you get a liaison working back and forth, but eventually we're going to have at least one or two joint meetings between the MUA and the town council with everybody present. But go ahead.
No, I agree, Dave.
Yeah.
Excellent point. So that's an action item, down the road, obviously, when things clear up. We definitely want to work together with the council. Andy, any comments from your side?
I think it's greatly needed, and I'm definitely, especially after the comments I heard from the town council meeting, if we're not in true linkage, we're just faltering besides the wayside and stepping over each other. So it's not a nice idea. It needs to be done.
So I think the action I'd like to take is I'll write to the town council, include the mayor, and everybody, all the MUA members, that we want to pursue this possibility and to make a request on how to make that official. And hopefully the town council will follow up on that, and they'll take us up on that offer. So I think that's, unless anybody thinks there's a different type of approach to take, I think that's the simplest approach, is send an email to the council and make this request. Is everybody all right with that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Looks.
Yep.
The Justice Department would charge Flynn.
Oh, are we all right?
Yeah, I think so.
What was that?
I don't know.
It
Wasn't me.
like a tree falling down. All right, back.
No, that's just a wireless. That was me. It was the wireless system, which every once in a while, when a radio car goes by, jumps into my phone.
Oh, okay.
It's
Damn radio
those-
cars.
monsters out there. All right. Thanks everybody for that feedback. Oh, we got a few items here. Hopefully I cover everything, and Danelle, please stop me if I don't. I want to jump to the fourth one, because Danelle's going to have to help me on that. This is a resolution for the insurance, statewide insurance. Can you explain that, Danelle? Because I know what I have to do, but explain what I have to do.
Right. Okay. So, so we have statewide insurance, just like, the town has insurance. We have insurance for the MUA. Usually it's done back in like October, November, but I think, with the former director leaving, I think the guy had his email, whatever, it didn't get on the agendas or anything like that. I had realized that we didn't pay our insurance yet. So I reached out to the guy, he sent it over, and basically we have to kind of state, that we have a fund commissioner, so it's the person that's in charge, and then alternate fund commissioner, just in case anything happens, for them to be able to reach out to somebody. So that's kind of what these resolutions are doing. It's kind of setting up statewide as our insurance carrier, who they have been for, as far as I know, and then setting up, new fund commissioners.
Do we have to officially pass a resolution, or could we just have a vote and then draft and finalize the resolution?
Well, so the resolutions that I sent to you, those would be the resolutions that you have to pass. So I just need votes on those resolutions.
And I apologize to everybody, but I sent that out late to everybody. I believe I did. If you didn't get a copy of that, I will send it out tomorrow morning. And then we have to, obviously we need to move on this, because we don't want to hold up the process.
Okay.
Does anybody have any objections or strong objections?
No, not at all.
No, we have to pay
Pay
our
bills.
It's like,
Important.
So you're going to send that out to all of us, Mike, right?
I will. I'll make that an action item. I'll send it out. I thought I did it already. I apologize if I didn't. I mean, I don't want to, sit there and read it, because I have it up here. I can't do that.
Do you have the,
I
was going to say, I have them in front of me if you want me to read them, or do you want to just show them?
Could you read it for us, please?
Yeah, that's not a
Then
problem. Okay, so the first one is a resolution appointing risk management consultants. So it says, whereas the Vernon Township Municipal Utility Authority has joined the statewide insurance fund, a joint insurance fund as defined in NJSA 40A:10-36, and whereas the bylaws require participating members to appoint a risk management consultant, as those positions are defined in the bylaws if required to do so by the fund. Whereas the local unit has complied with relevant law with regard to the appointment of risk management consultant, and whereas the fund has requested its members to appoint individuals or entities to that position, and now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the local unit in the county of Sussex and the state of New Jersey as follows. The Vernon Township Municipal Utility Authority hereby appoints Skylands Risk Management, its risk management consultant. The administrator will be the authorized representative of the public entity, and risk management consultant is hereby authorized to execute the risk management consultants agreement for the year 2020 in the form attached hereto. And then it's the actual consultants agreement, which I'm not going to read because that's really lengthy. That's the first resolution. So if we can get a vote on that, I can jot it down and then I can send it over to you, Mike, for your signatures, and then I'll get it over to the risk manager.
That works for me. I'll
Okay,
take a roll call. Andy Pitsker.
I'd still like to read the document before I go for a vote.
Okay. All right. Paul Carney.
Sorry to throw a wrench in there, but
You know what? If we're gonna wait for Andy, I'd like to read it too. I mean, if you get it out to us tonight or tomorrow, we can agree via email. I think I may be mistaken. We might be able to just a yay or nay via email and that might be enough to make it legit.
That works for me. I'll circulate it and get an e-vote
Very good.
so we can move forward. All right, to the top of the list, purchase needs. I can give you an update on the pump. I had a contractor go out, evaluate the pump. Jack, the grocer, also evaluated the pump. Matt Biagini got some price quotes. We went with the grinder pump, the Sulcer pump. I believe that was purchased. Am I correct, Danelle? Was it purchased or it was started?
We have the PO in place. I just need your
Signature.
approval. Yeah, we were having those issues with admins.
Yeah, we know that. We'll fix those. So we're going to go with that pump, and that's at pump station number 3, where there's an old Myers pump, and that Myers pump has been there's been issues with grit getting into the wet well and causing some problems. That Sulcer pump, my understanding, they've had no issues since 2017. So the contractor agreed with that. That's probably the best choice. And I know Andy said he was familiar with it and he was okay with it. So that was purchased, and then we're going to proceed with installation. So a lot of maintenance on that pump, and we want to move away from the excessive amount of maintenance.
Sure.
Any questions about the pump?
Nope.
Go ahead. Any questions about that? Anyone?
Danelle, Danelle, you got stepped over. What did you say?
I'm sorry?
I thought you got stepped on. You were saying something?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any comments, anyone, about the pump?
No, it needed to be replaced.
No. Yeah, it's something that. I can't remember who I was talking with about that. Does that come out of our budget, or does the town pay for that?
That's our budget.
Okay.
There's a section there called capital expenditures, and this falls under that. And this is something which is repair and replace, where you have a piece of a capital equipment that would fall under the maintenance. So I have talked to Matt about this. I've talked to Jack. This is something that was actually requested back, I think, almost a year ago. If you replace this pump, it reduces the maintenance of pulling the pump because of clogs, because the old pump, it's like every other day you got to pull it to clear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where this whole situation is.
I would imagine.
Andy.
No, and
Sorry,
that's where
Paul,
the situation lies, is that it reduces the maintenance, so the number of hours spent pulling pumps is just reduced. And right now, Jack has done a great job of doing a workaround, but you got a very old pump that's not even a match to the other pump, the sister pump, and this will have less likelihood of clogging more often. And then Mike, the contractor who's looking at installing the pump, saw a small improvement to help even reduce that further, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, just to go over that, that's not on the agenda. He had an idea of possibly putting in some kind of grit tank or some kind of system of removing the grit through it goes through the muffin monsters, and they do have a large problem with grit getting into that pump station 3. So he had some ideas, engineering ideas, contractor ideas. that he's going to put a proposal together and then get it off to me, and then I'll share it with the entire MUA and see what they think. But that would further help with moving grits.
I mean, all it's going to be is some kind of settling, correct?
Yeah, it's like exactly. It'd be like a settling, like a grit tank where he didn't give me the exact details, but he'll give me like a drawing of it and some kind of schematic and a written proposal, so to give you a better understanding. But that'll help immensely with the operation.
Is he looking at like a tank with a notched weir and the supernatant or whatever would go over the top of the solids and the grit would fall, just hit the bottom? Is that what he's? Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
I think that. Yeah, I think he did it in West Milford very successfully. I'm not sure, one of the wastewater plants, they had Suez had a serious grit problem, and it worked pretty well. So
right.
I'll get back to it in that. So there's a question about generators. Andy has more information on generators for the lift station.
Yeah, in discussions with Matt and with, I believe, Jack, is that there are no backup generators for the lift stations. And if a power goes down, we have nothing to run those operations. And if we're talking about, making investments in places that we have to have compliance to have a generator, I believe there's supposed to be 3 fairly simple generators, one for each of the lift stations installed. There's nothing there. So for the cost of what these are, you're talking less than $1,000 plus a job box to keep it in and locked up. You have a generator at each of the sites that's reasonable. So
you're talking about
to be done.
Andy, you're talking about just a portable generator?
Yeah, portable generators in each of the 3 lift stations.
All right.
There is none. Whether they were there in the past history or not, I'm not going to go over any of that. But the question is whether they need to be there for compliance, and if they do, we need to have them secured. So none of those generators are started unless it's on call. So you go to the location. So if the generator is in a job box, you open up the job box, you start the generator up, and it runs the lift station so you don't have any backups. So I was absolutely surprised when I heard this, that there is no generators in those 3 sites. So I said to Matt, well, let's look into it. So this is where that started. So right now, that's where it's at. So we probably need to talk to Jack Grosser and find out what is the total situation before we make a purchase.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Is there, I don't know if you know this, Andy, whether or not, are there connections there for a generator or no? Is there any?
When you say other connections, what do you mean?
Like the connection for the generator, to have something to, electrically that they could, do they have to upgrade to get a generator and a connection to that system, or does that already exist? Because it can get more.
I did not inspect that section, and I could not tell you for sure.
Yeah, well, you'd have to hardwire it into the pump, because I'm sure the pump doesn't use a plug.
Well, no.
Right.
What you do is an electrician just goes to the main circuit box, and there's a plug that you will have come off of your portable generator, and you hit the switch and you plug the generator into the electric box that powers the station, and you pick what you want to run off of that generator. So you would turn off any electric that you don't need and only use what you do during that period of time. And when the power is restored, you have to remove the generator and then hit the switch back so you don't backload your house with or the pump station with power. It's a fairly common thing that people who have generators at their houses use.
I have one. It's called a transfer switch.
That's it.
Exactly. It's a transfer switch. That's the word I was looking for. So just let's make an action item. We'll look into the transfer switch generators. We'll get some more information, and then we'll talk about it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Anything else on generators? Safety review I already talked about. We're waiting for that final report. That's important. Everyone agrees with that. Once we get that report, we'll have a chance to review it so everybody have a chance to look at it. All right. Member,
You didn't go over one vote. I have to take you back to approval of bills, minutes, and resolutions.
thank you, Andy. So,
Sorry.
bills, we don't have bills to approve. We'll have at the next meeting. Minutes from the last meeting, Andy, you did circulate that, right? The minutes?
I did send those
You
out,
did.
and I didn't get any comments back.
You know, I read them. Everything looked accurate to me. So I didn't feel,
Yeah.
I figured talk about it now. I have nothing to add to them or take away from.
Dave?
Yeah, same here.
Angela was not on the last call. Kristen was. So the only members that can vote on it is Andy, myself, Dave McDermott, and Paul. Just by a roll call, we have to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Second by Dave McDermott. The original motion was by Paul Carney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? All right. So that the minutes from the last meeting are approved, and we'll follow through Andy and post those.
I will.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy, for reminding me. Hard to remember everything. Any individual member comments? We'll start with Angela Erickson.
No, not at this time. I'm just catching up.
Well, I'm glad you're back, Angela. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
We really can use your help. You're a big part of this. So anything you can do to help out, and that's really helpful. So I appreciate that, Angela. Dave McDermott.
Nothing to add. I said my piece.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. Paul Carney.
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. The only thing that I guess, we have to wait until the town center's open is, one of the concerns of Dave and I that we, worked on for a while is getting the VFW hooked up. But I don't even know if they're open for themselves right now, let alone that.
No,
But
they aren't.
I'm sitting here with bated breath, waiting for everything to get back together and, to get their final paperwork done and get that work completed. I mean, everything's ready to go. So,
Yeah, it's all marked out and everything. All they got to do is get the permits. They were waiting on permits.
right. Okay.
Construction person.
That's it.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Paul. Andy Pitzer.
Basically, I'm very happy to hear about the liaison to the council and the mayor. I think that is critical because we have to be on the same page, and I think we are. But that's an important part. And then trying to go forward and getting these past meeting minutes up to date. I need to get with somebody on the recording so I can start trapping those with, I believe, our new hire. In the next 30 to 60 days, we'll try to see if we can get everything caught up. That'll be a priority to do.
I appreciate it, Andy. Anything else, Andy?
That's it.
All I want to say is I want to thank. This has been tough with Matt leaving. Everyone's been a tremendous help. Everybody on this group, I think it's a great MUA. The members have stepped up. Everyone has contributed something, and we need to continue to do that. And then we're going to work towards getting connected with the township and coming up with a plan. We all agree that we want some direction, and hopefully we'll get that direction. But the most important thing is I thank everybody for your dedication. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time and effort. I appreciate it. I think the township appreciates it. With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion's made by Paul Carney, seconded by Dave McDermott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Please be safe out there and be healthy. And we'll talk soon.
All right,
All
good
right,
night,
will
everyone.
do, Mike.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody,
Thank
for
you.
listening in.
Thank you.
Bye.
Dave, I'm hanging up on you.